Taylor Swift Love Story. It's right here on Dan RadioStyle. Hope everybody out there's having themselves a great day. Certainly got something kind of interesting I wanted to share with you on this particular show. I don't think this technique is out there. I have not found it yet. I'm not trying to say, ooh, I invented it. I just think maybe I'm taking a concept and sort of spinning it maybe into my own way, or it might be out there already. So if it's out there already, that's fantastic. It might very well just be similar to something else. So trying to come up with another really, really fun concept or fun tool maybe, to help us with our manifestations. And this is, if you're specific someone, manifestation, if we're trying to manifest a new job, new car, new house, new life of any kind, new clothes, new whatever, anything, whatever you're trying to manifest. This is kind of a good way in a few ways. One, it kind of forces us to get into the imaginal work to an extreme. And in doing so, kind of making it real with our conscious self, kind of bringing it home as well. I'm curious to see what people think about this. We'll see. I kind of hinted to one comment I made to one viewer, and she was very kind in saying what she said. But frankly, I don't know. We'll see how it plays out. But kind of what I've got in mind, or what my thinking is first off, the way you want to start this off, and I don't know if any of you have ever done this or if I've ever talked about connecting with your SP's higher self or some random person's higher self. And if you're trying to manifest something for your job, career, or whatever, you can connect with your higher self, believe it or not. And really just, it's an intention. So all you have to do is say, I'm Dan, I'm connecting with my SP's higher self, or I'm connecting with my higher self. Just make the statement, and that's all you need to do. I mean, if you want to maybe put a few minutes of meditation in before you do this, not a bad idea, just to kind of get yourself in a good place. If you use crystals or anything like that, maybe it's a good time to bring one over, because this is really a good place where you're going to be getting in touch with your higher self for the most part, and you're going to be trying to impart some wisdom, I guess, to yourself. Is kind of how I see this play out. Anyway, what I'm talking about doing is sit down, like I said, get connected to your higher self, get connected to your special someone, get connected to whoever you're really going to be doing this about. And what I want you to do is I want you to pretend it's a year out, 5 years out, whatever. Put yourself well into where your manifestation has already occurred. Well into it. Like, if you're going to manifest and you guys are finally together, say a year from now, then put it out 2 years from now, right? Put it out a little ways further than just the manifestation. Put it out where, just out further. It really doesn't matter. And you'll see, and I know I'm kind of holding back a little bit because there's not a whole lot to this particular video, but put it out far enough and it'll make sense here in a moment. And what I really want you to do is I want you to write your current conscious self a note, but I want you to write it from the vantage point of your future self. So essentially what I'd like you to do is imagine yourself 2 years, 3 years, 5 years out into the future, writing yourself a note in the past. So imagine if you were right now, right? If you were to sit down and write yourself a past note about how far you've come now relative to maybe where you were 3 years ago, think about how that concept would play out, except we're putting it out further where your manifestation has already occurred. So some things that you might want to talk about. You might mention how things are going. How do things seem? What is a standard day-to-day? What are you noticing in your day-to-day activities, or your time with each other, or when they come home from work and you're cooking dinner, or if they come home from work and your young child you get to play with together, or how great your family is, or how wonderful it is when you get together with your family, say maybe on Thanksgiving or something like that, or Christmas or whatever, and sometime you get to spend, and then write about how great it was, how everyone was sitting around the fireplace and the Christmas tree, and your specific someone was handing the presents out to everybody, and you had your two young ones with you. Well, I was going to make up names, but they were still going to come out crazy. So again, try to spell out the story, the scene. How long should it be? As long as you'd like it to be. This is your story. You can talk about how amazing your career is going at the time, right? Maybe things are going really, really well. It's a new job you're going for. So you're talking about how amazing this career is, the kind of money you're maybe making now, the kind of house you potentially live in, or the kind of car maybe that you're driving, or when you go shopping and you're going to Nordstrom's or whatever. Like, that's like, describe something that's very specific towards your manifestation actually occurring. Or even, like I said, I was mentioning kids. You can talk about how amazing your kids are and how much young Bobby reminds you of your SP and the way he behaves and the way he acts. And he just started soccer, and we were all there as we got to watch him score his first goal. Put a lot of time and effort and thought into this scenario that you're writing about, that you're writing to your past self. This is very much that concept that Agnes has talked about, where you're imagining from, but then you imagine back to where you were when you didn't actually have. It's like you're remembering when you didn't have what you currently have when you're doing the imaginal work. So here's another way to really force you into that perspective, because sometimes it's hard to sort of imagine the thing and then imagine yourself imagining backwards. Like, yeah, what? That's like a time warp. There's a paradox that just happened. A black hole just opened up in my bedroom, right? Like, sometimes that's not as easy. So here's kind of a technique where you can force yourself into it in a very easy kind of way. And then again, it helps you bridge that actual manifestation. It helps you create that reality between here and there. And it makes it real because you've put so much effort into imagining and describing to such detail that it begins to sort of take shape. And actually, this is another very strong technique in creating that imaginal activity. That's basically that. And then the good energy is kind of how we keep things flowing, right? So it's those two really key ingredients. And it kind of helps keep us in that better mood. And now you've got a note that you can read over and over until it's like embedded in there, until it's stuck in your mind. Read it into an app on your phone. Like, there's one I've got called Dictadroid, right? It's a free app. You can talk into it and then save it as a WAV file, and then you can play that. You can loop it. You can do whatever you want. So there's different apps out there, of course, whatever works for you, or there might even be something you have already that's some sort of audio recorder. Then use that. But it's a great way to kind of get this story and then just implant it into yourself until it's like becomes second nature, until you know it so well, you can imagine it whenever you want. You can bring those details to the forefront of your imagination whenever you want because it's so spelled out and you know it so well. I hope this helps. Again, kind of a different technique. It's sort of a bridging of two realities, two worlds, writing down your imagination and looking back from where you are. And it was like, here's a great way to kind of, throw it all together. So if someone else has already come up with this, awesome. I'm just borrowing from them, apparently, even though I don't know who did it. But if not, maybe I'm actually coming up with something creative. Who knows? We'll see. But we're going to be going out with a great song. This is actually from one of my favorite little musicals, and I see if I can remember anyone's name. Neil Patrick Harris. It was back, I want to say like 2013-ish, 2012 maybe. There was a writer's strike. So I got together with a couple of his very, very close friends, and they created a little mini movie, a little short movie called Dr. Horrible's Sing-Along Blog. And I grabbed one of the songs from that I actually love. And its song is called My Eyes. And it's a duet he does with his love interest, coincidentally, right, within this. So hopefully you guys like. And again, we'll be doing more shows. Subscribe if you haven't, please. Please click subscribe if you haven't done so. That's always nice as well. So thank you for joining me. My Eyes, Dan RadioStyle.
And sound, hopes and dreams are shattering apart and crashing to the ground. I cannot believe my eyes, how the world's filled with filth and lies. But it's plain to see